Hello, gentle viewers. This is Avendian, welcoming you back to Tabletop Simulator and Washington's War. We're about to begin the 1776 turn. So, before we do anything else, even before we do reinforcement phases, these two cards are now added to the deck, and they're both very powerful. One of them permanently deprives the British of that +1 benefit. If you remember last episode, that actually would have won the battle for the Americans. So that's a significant benefit. And the Declaration of Independence, which lets the American player place a whole bunch of free markers. So we're gonna chuck these both in the deck, not the discard pile, a very common mistake, and we're gonna shuffle it up. Alright, reinforcements phase. I need 8 for the Brits. And then I'm gonna go... So that's a pretty powerful force that is waiting to be deployed. Keep in mind that you can never move with more than 5 reinforcements, so it's not... Like, it's definitely significant. But the key thing is that they must always be placed in one spot. So that is something else to consider. Okay, so we're done with the reinforcement phase. Now we're going to draw our cards. And Team America gets to draw their 7 cards first. And the British get to draw the next 7. The British check their hand. The American player then asks, would you like to play a major minor campaign to go first? They say, I elect not to. And the Americans have to decide, do I want to make sure that I go first? I think the Americans are going to go ahead and defer and let the British player go first. So, let's begin the strategy phase. The British aren't super happy with their cards. They're pretty scary, actually. But he finally has some very important ops cards that he can use to move General Howe. And attacking green and defeating him is a pretty low risk move that would get them another colony at the end of the turn. The question is it worth it? And is it worth wasting that kind of attack on one person? Now, the counter argument is, if they don't, then green's just going to build it up. Now, green does have an ace up his sleeve. He has a bonus to retreating, meaning he doesn't have to engage them in battle. And if he successfully retreats, then the British player has to stop. I just need to remind myself here. I'm going to grab my rule book. I need to remind myself whether or not they have to stop their movement if the Americans successfully retreat. Nope, they don't have to. They just get to avoid being attacked. Now, that doesn't have to be the first thing that they do, but the British are in a really bad situation that they have a lot of American cards. And the Americans could very easily grab these. This one is especially bad. This one is especially bad. So the British player is going to go ahead and activate Howe. And he takes Howe and 5 troops. I'm not going to move him yet. One moment. I am back, gentle viewers. Sorry about that. There was a package. So we have... What is going on there? Oh, I hit the flick button. I don't want to launch Howe. I mean, I kind of do want to launch Howe into Lake Erie, but no. So, we activated Howe's army, and the British indicate that they're going to attack Newport. Nathaniel Greene here is going to try to retreat. There's nothing to be gained by him fighting Howe, because he's going to lose. Oh, very important question, actually. Can you I think overruns only happen if there's no general. Yes. Okay. So what we're going to do is we're going to roll the die. Now, normally his agility rating is a 2, which means that to be a 2 or less. However, because he's Nathaniel Greene, he gets this plus 2R, which means he can withdraw much easier. Washington has a 2, by the way. So we're going to roll the dice, and as the Americans, and we're going to hope for a 4 or less. We get a 5. Unfortunate, but that's how it is sometimes. So, the British are going to go first, and they're going to eagerly play John Paul Jones's shipping rates for a +1 modifier. The Americans, you see that they're going to discard any. They're not going to. I mean, they could discard Disdain Sails for the Caribbean, but this card can't actually hurt them because it can't be played. So the British basically say, we're going to take a +1 for the card. So the British have 5 troops. Oh, sorry, we each need to roll to see what the different battle ratings are going to be. Ooh, okay. There's really no point in rolling because even if he got his maximum value, he's only got 1 soldier. So he's only ever going to get a +1. But they do get a lucky break in that Howe is cut from a possibility of 5. Yes, 6 is printed on his piece. That's only in defense because otherwise you can't have 5 units in a battle. More than 5 units in a battle, sorry. But he gets half that. He gets 3. So it's going to be 5 for the number of units, 3 for the battle rating, 1 for British regulars, 1 for Royal Navy support, and 1 for the battle card. So that's going to be 5, 8, 9, 10, 11. So we're going to roll the die. That's a 3, so 3 plus 11 is going to be 14. I don't believe it's possible for America to win this battle, but we'll see. So the Americans have 1 CU, battle rating of 1, that's +2. +1 for the militia, they do have control over Rhode Island, which gives them a +3 total. They cannot win this battle. So then the only thing that actually matters is whether or not the British lose anything during this defeat. Or during this victory. So we are going to go ahead and roll. On a 1 to 3, they do lose a unit. So we're going to see if the British roll low or if they roll high. They rolled a 2. That is between 1 and 3, so there is 1 British casualty. Now, I believe if all units are eliminated, that also means the general is captured as a result of the battle. I'm 99% sure that's the case. I'm just going to double check it. Um, do, 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 do. Ah, so he actually is not eliminated. Um, but his... Because he can legally retreat somewhere. However, battle does stop movement, so he can't just like keep chasing him or whatever. But the army goes there. And we do that. So the British turn is now complete, and we switch over to the Americans. Now the Americans have a couple of options here. Washington has 2 troops. Getting 5 troops for Washington seems like a pretty important first step to a successful turn. So we're going to go ahead and play the 3 ops card here. And I'm going to give Washington his maximum number of 5 troops. Oops. Just 5, thanks. Goodbye. I just sounded like AOL. It was not my intention. And that's it. That's the entirety of the American turn. They're going to build up to attack Cornwallis. So now the British have an important decision to make. This 1 ops card is useless. This 1 ops card was made for them to bring on their reinforcements. The question is, who are they going to bring on and where? And that is a really important question to answer. And I don't know the answer. So let's look at who they have left among their generals. They do have Gentleman Johnny Burgoyne, and they have Clinton. I can't remember Clinton's first name. I'm sorry. Clinton's a really good general, but even harder to move. He's, again, a really good defensive general. But he's not better than Cornwallis. There's also the possibility of getting Carleton up here and getting him some more troops. There's no chance they're going to drop all 8 because they can't use them. So I guess the question is Burgoyne's maneuverability more valuable than Clinton's just being a better general? The Brits are going to get to move 1 more general this turn. No matter what. And that's a really important thing to consider. There is an argument to be made for the British that they should dump all these troops with Cornwallis and basically make it so that the Americans no longer have an incentive to attack. And that's not a terrible idea. That's not a terrible idea. Plus, he could displace Cornwallis and then use Cornwallis somewhere else later on. And have a real advantage there. To get real sneaky-like. Because, as the British player, I don't particularly care if the Americans attack me in, like, Alexandria. But I want to make them bleed for it. And I want to reduce the chance that I could get hit with that, losing 3 more troops, which will then kill the regulars' advantage. And every American victory does get them a, moves them up on the French counter. So I've talked myself into it. So step 1, I'm going to play the British reinforcement card. Step 2, I am going to go ahead and displace Cornwallis. I'm actually going to take the whole bloody stack and dump them all in Alexandria. And that concludes the British turn. Now the Americans have several options here. Maybe the most important would be reinforcing green. I'm just double checking here. Yeah, because the general can be on his own there. 3 more troops for Nathaniel Greene could really change things a bit. It could really give the British pause, and it gives us another flexible piece there. I also have this super secret card that they don't know about. And let's just count, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I can't quite get there. Dang it. Curse your son, but inevitable betrayal. But I guess let's do the easy thing right now. And the easy thing right now is to go ahead and call for 3 more troops. Does that have to be American controlled, though? I think I checked this last time, and I've already forgotten it because I suck. I think it just has to be not British controlled. Yep, any space with no British C or PC marker. So we're going to go ahead and give Nathaniel Greene 3 dudes. And now this becomes a much more dicey proposition. Because, important fact, Hartford is not a port. Which means, yes, Howe has a good chance of still winning the battle, but it's a much more even fight. And in fact, Mr. Nathaniel Greene could get up to 3 troops. So this definitely gives the British player pause to decide what they want to do. So let's talk about that. What does the British player want to do? He's sitting on this 3 ops card. And the Brits already have Massachusetts, and they're going to get Rhode Island as long as Howe doesn't move. As long as Howe doesn't move. If Howe moves, that's a bit more problematic. Because once Howe moves, there's a chance that Greene could try to intercept. Or do some other very, very nasty things. It's gotta be an army. Okay. So, right now the British have 3 generals. And they have really good reasons not to move 2 of them. Moving Howe deprives him... Basically moving Howe for anything other than to attack Greene and forcing him back is not very smart. And very important, no, because Howe could retreat to New Hampshire if that happened, if he moved here or then attack or whatever. No, wait, because if you retreat back onto your own space, I think you have to surrender. Yeah, because it cannot retreat to a PC. So that would be very, very dangerous. Howe definitely doesn't want to expand any farther than he has already. Unless he just moves to one space and then plays a card to flip it. The third possibility is moving Carleton. Carleton is certainly not a bad general, and moving him out of Canada gives them an option for the British to start working on New York. And if the British can isolate New Hampshire, or just flip this to... Yeah, that's too good. That's a colony for sure. So we're going to actually activate Carleton. So Carleton and his dudes are going to basically go 1, 2, 3. And hang out there. Because once the British play an action to flip this token, which they can do as long as they're on as long as there's an army on top of it, that is going to be a oh, sorry, it must be adjacent to a current British PC marker, which it is. So yeah, that loses the Americans a colony. So, Wellity. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I mean, I could use Arnold. So here's the trap by not knowing what the British have. If I move Washington, the Brits could just instantly take Philadelphia. And I can't have that. If I lose the Continental Congress, I can't place PCs anymore. So as much as this pains me to have to do this, I think I have to have Arnold back up into Philadelphia. Or even have Washington go to Philadelphia. Because I really don't fancy my odds of smacking down Clinton with 10 troops. And me only with 5. I mean, if I pull Washington... I need a reasonable army in Philadelphia. I can't not have that. But Arnold's only got 1 soldier. So Arnold isn't a real deterrent. Not in a way that, say, Washington would be. So what I'm going to do is I'm going to play a 1-ops card to activate Washington. And I'm going to put Washington in Philadelphia. Now, of course, I have this card waiting. And if it's the last card that I play during my turn, great. I can use this to either attack Howe, or I could use it to attack anyone I want, actually. I could even attack Carleton with it. Right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Nope. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Nope. No, 6. Right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. No, I would be stuck next to him. But I could go after Howe. And the Brits don't know that I can go after Howe. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Yeah. Now, if I got defeated, green would get absorbed by the army, and green would actually have to be placed with reinforcements next turn. That's not the worst thing in the world. So I think I'm comfortable with that. I'm defending Philadelphia in case the Brits get squirrely, and I've got the extra incentive to go punish Howe, with some clever card play. So the next thing that happens is the British are going to take their turn. And the British really don't want to discard any of these cards. Well, they can't discard the 1783 card. That's not an option for them. If they discard Mad Anthony Wayne, there's a really good chance the Americans grab it. So the Brits are going to do the boring move. They're going to play 1783. Norse government falls. The war ends in 1783. The Americans are going to go ahead and play Admiral Suffren wins a naval victory. He can't play it the way he might want, which is fine. But he can do it to place an action or flip one underneath an American troop. I'm going to go ahead and secure Connecticut while I'm thinking about it. And that's it. Now the British have a terrible choice to make. An absolutely terrible choice. They don't know that the Americans have an ops card, but they don't know that they don't have one. And these are both American events. So let's talk about the differences here. If they discard Mad Anthony Wayne, the American can pick it up, and that gives them a big boost in a battle, plus they get to draw another card, which actually gives them another thing to do this turn. The Americans already have more cards than the British because the British had to burn that card earlier. Playing this card is almost as bad, because that's 2 free PCs off the play of 1 card. And those can be anywhere. These are both really bad cards. But one of these cards is much worse. It's Mad Anthony Wayne. And here's why. It's a +2 to a battle. That's bad enough. But the fact the American player gets another card it wrecks people's shit, basically. It's not good. So the Brits are going to bite the bullet and discard Nathan Hale. They then take their action, and in this case, so I'm going to make a move that's going to seem foolish, but it actually isn't. If I knew that the American player had the ability to move 6 spaces and attack me, which I don't know that, I would probably go ahead and play my marker here in Rhode Island to secure it. But there's only 1 card in the entire deck that allows you to attack after 5 spaces. After 4 spaces, sorry. So I'm going to deliberately not put the marker there. I'm going to put it over here in New Hampshire. I'm going to flip that. And that will conclude the British turn. The Americans then instantly say, why thank you, and play an ops card to grab that out of the discard pile. And the Americans are going to go ahead and play that right now. I don't think you have to play it immediately if you don't want to. if you grab an event out of the deck. Discarding. I think you just get to put it in your hand and you can play it later, but maybe not. Yeah, there you go. But I'm going to play it right now because it's a great card, and I get to do any two that don't have a British playing piece, meaning PC, unit, or other thing. And it's about time for the Americans to get a nice, powerful foothold in North Carolina. So I'm going to put one there. And I'm going to put one here. And that card is removed from the game. And now we're back to the British. And the British are going to discard this card. And at this point, the British player's probably got like maybe he's got his face in his hands, like, oh god, I hope the American card don't have a 2 or 3 ops card. And the American says, completely poker face, I elect not to pick that up. And the British breathe a sigh of relief. Let's place one in New York. Let's make some inroads into New York, and we can work on that colony next turn. Not an American troop. Here we go. And the British now have no cards left, which makes the American player very, very happy. He's going to play Distang, Sails for the Caribbean, for a political control marker. The Americans can the Americans get Virginia? No, I don't think that they can. I think they're a little bit too far off. They can't really isolate any British markers by just placing one. Like, they're going to do it. They're going to place a marker. It's just a question of where they're going to place it. And I think placing it in Canada could be a bit saucy, but it's not really going to matter. So I'm going to go ahead and place it in Virginia. Let's start working towards getting Virginia back in the near future. And then the British player has no cards, so then the Americans drop the bomb. John Glover's Marblehead Regiment. I can move an army up to 6 spaces and engage in battle. Knowing that Philadelphia is safe, Washington is going to make a beeline for General Howe. Now, this is not a strategy without risks. It is definitely going to place Philadelphia in some danger. 100%. If the British get a minor or major campaign card, we haven't seen any yet, the British can just walk into Philadelphia. And there's not much I can do to stop them. If literally anything else happens, we'll be fine. But this is as good an opportunity as we will get to fight Howe. Especially because Howe has not flipped this marker. He took a calculated risk. figuring there's only one card in the deck, and he didn't get it. So the Americans are going to have a pretty decent advantage here. And we're going to do it. I cannot move. I'm going to put them off the coast with the understanding that if the Americans do not win, then green will get absorbed and they'll have these troops here in Hartford. This is a big risk, but I think it's one worth taking. I know it's one worth taking. So, okay. Let's get to calculating. Neither side has any cards to play, that's fine. So let's get up here. Washington's hoping for a nice big number. He got it, which means good old George gets his full +5. Howard's gonna roll. Howe gets a 2. So Howe gets half, and I think it's rounded down. I think it's always rounded down. Oh, but you know what? He has a base value of 6, so he's going to get a 3. So we're at 5 for the Americans and 3 for the Brits. Let's start calculating the rest of the American roll here. So it's 5 troops, 5 for Washington, 1 for militia, that's a total of 11, and 2 for winter quarters. That's a total of 13. 13 plus the roll is 18. Now the British calculate. Howe has 4 troops, plus he has a combat rating of 3 for 7, plus Royal Navy for 8, plus British regulars advantage of 9. So it's 9 plus the die roll. The British cannot win this battle, which is great news. The best I can get is a 15. And they get a 1. So the Americans have won their first battle. Hooray! Now the Brits roll for their casualties. And the Americans are hoping for a 6 right now. Come on, 6. Damn it. The British do lose 1 troop, and they're forced to retreat. Come on, Brits. There's your bag. So he is going to retreat to Boston. He actually can't retreat anywhere else. And Washington and his forces are going to go to Newport. Although I do have to roll to determine. How does have a 3? So I'm going to lose the unit on a 1 duel 4. Nice big roll. Damn it. I was going to say nice, but no, not nice. Dead American. But, very, very important, American victory. This moves up by 1. We're 4 spaces closer now to the French getting involved, which is excellent news. Next we do winter attrition. To begin with, the British have no winter attrition because all of their units are in winter quarter spaces. So next we have the Americans. Benny Boy here only has 1 troop, so he's fine. Green is going to lose, I believe it's rounded down. Please help me remember. I believe attrition is always rounded down. I think everything's rounded down. Yes. So I'm going to lose 1 troop for green. And Washington loses nothing because he's in winter quarters. So he is good to go. Let me just make sure that it's not just forts that are winter attrition, but I'm pretty sure that they are. That's going to be up at the front here. A winter quarters space is... Yep, there are square spaces. The cities are winter quarters, so... no attrition there. French naval phase doesn't happen. Now the political control phase. So first of all, the Brits already have Alexandria, so nothing changes there. Howe's in Boston, nothing changes there. The Americans already have Hartford. And you're fine where you are. So nothing really changes as far as those are concerned. And nothing right now is isolated. Everything can draw to an appropriate space. So the last part of the political control phase, and again you can do this whenever you want to, but I like doing it right before the end phase, is determining if any colonies have changed hands. New Hampshire has defected to the British. Canada remains British. The Americans do hold on to Rhode Island, however. And Massachusetts remains British. We're not far, though, from making some real punishing moves against them and taking them out of Massachusetts, which is going to be big if we can manage it. Connecticut, Rhode Island, both American. New Jersey, Pennsylvania, American. Maryland and Delaware are both American. Virginia is still British. North Carolina is now American. Because you can see here we have 1, 2, 3 versus only 1 for the Brits. And Georgia remains American, as does South Carolina. We have completed 1776 with our first American victory. We now go into 1777. The first thing happens, the Brits do get 1 reinforcement. But only 1. So that's going to be a thing for them to consider. Next we're going to draw cards. And the British player is basically begging for a major or minor campaign. If they get a major or minor campaign, it's going to be real bad for the Americans. They didn't get one. So the British player says, you know what? I'm going to elect not to choose. And the Americans instantly say, I'm going to go first. And they're instantly going to go ahead and put an army in... Who doesn't suck here? Lafayette. I'm going to put Lafayette with 3 American troops in Philadelphia. Using my... Oops, I didn't discard these. My bad. I gotta remember to do that. Actually, I'll put it there first. But... So we're going to go ahead and put 3 troops in Philadelphia. 1, 2, 3, and then Lafayette right on top of them. If Howe wants to come, Clinton wants to come for this, it's going to be a much more difficult task for them. This is bad. I definitely don't want this card to be played, so I'm definitely going to want to play that as a battle card. Ooh, that's quite nice, too. This is a decent opening hand. Note this bombshell, which is that the game could end in 1779. If the game ends now, the Americans win, and they win by quite a bit. But it's now the British player's turn. He's got 1782. This is instantly the card I'm going to play. taking a card out of the American player's hand is massive. Is absolutely massive. Like, this is good too. But yeah, you always play this as early as possible. So there's 6 cards. I'm gonna roll and remove that card randomly. 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. And the British player is pretty grumpy that this is the card that got discarded. But it happens. But just by depriving the Americans of a card, that's a pretty good advantage. And so it is back to the Americans. Now the Americans really want to get some shit done this turn. Bludgeoning How is a pretty good use of their capabilities. Oh. No, if they do that, then you can always retreat by sea. Always retreat by sea. Getting green a stronger army is really worthwhile too. It just gives you more options. So we're going to do that. I'm going to go ahead and play my other ops card for reinforcements. And 2. Now, the British player, on the one hand, is quite happy, but on the other hand, he isn't happy at all. He cannot move any of his generals right now, because he doesn't have a 3 ops card. So he's going to go ahead. He's going to play a 1 ops card to bring on reinforcements. He doesn't care about the troops much, he cares about Cornwallis. And the question then becomes, where could he be the most useful? This card right here is going to make me change my original strategy a bit because it's definitely worth it. We're going to kick Clinton out. I'm even going to leave the troop there because there's no point. And I'm going to bring Cornwallis. We're going to attack Benedict Arnold specifically, if we can, and see if we can threaten Philadelphia for one thing. But that's the thing we're going to try. That's the thing we're going to try. American turn. We're going to go and play Don Bernardo Galvez. Captures Pensacola. I can remove 2 units from anywhere on the map. And like wearing down this stack. Oh, I didn't roll to see if he I didn't roll to see if he deserted. Sorry, that's my. Oh, poop! I deleted the die. Let's bring it back. He didn't desert. Okay. So. Chasing. Like, here's the thing, right? I can reduce Howe's abilities, but I can't wipe him out. The guy to weaken is honestly Cornwallis. Because, I mean, the Brits are just going to get 8 more troops next turn, though. Plus one's already in the box. So we might as well take 1 from Howe and 1 from Carleton. That's what we're going to do. We're 1 from Howe, 1 from Carleton. And done. The British lose regulars. Does it have to be 3 in a single battle or a single strategy phase? That's quite important. I think it has to be in one battle. Oh, it's if they ever surrender or if they lose 3 or more units in a battle. Okay, that's fine. Right. British time. Do they want to go for the jugular here? Like, here's the thing. If they attack Arnold, that has been 2 cards to do it. Because otherwise, if... Oh, no, because he could retreat by sea. Yeah, he could totally retreat by sea. That's what he's going to do then. The Brits play a 2 ops card, and they go ahead and they activate Mr. Cornwallis. Wait, what? How did I get Cornwallis onto the board without playing a British reinforcement card? I can't, so that should have been discarded. Oh, you know what? I discarded it into the pile. Sorry. There we go. So, Cornwallis is going to take 5 troops. And he's going to go move here. And Arnold has to ask himself, do I want to intercept? The British are begging for him to intercept. Because if they do, then they just instantly play this card and he dies, basically. That's incredibly spicy. Arnold is going to try to retreat. He's got to get a 1 or a 2. He gets a 3. Battle is joined. The British play Benedict Arnold's treason undermates the Patriots' cause. They get to draw a card. Another ops card. That's pretty handy. And here's what's even better. Arnold is gone. Arnold has a troop, but now we're in an overrun. Because if at any point you get 5 or 4 troops against 1 enemy troop, you just win the battle. So that soldier is dead, and the Brits can now take Delaware. So that presents an interesting concern for the American player. I had my turn all figured out before the Brits pulled that sneaky plan. And there's a couple of things I could do. One is I could attack... One is I could attack the stack in Alexandria. It would be a difficult fight. I mean, at least I have the advantage of having Lafayette. But I can't move Lafayette from Philadelphia. One, two, three, four. I could do that. I could send green to Philadelphia. So here's my concern. Is green a 3 or a 4? He's a 4. So I think I'm going to go ahead and play a minor campaign. And I'm going to send green down the line here with 2 units. Only 2. Actually, yeah, screw it, I'll bring them all. And then green is going to displace Lafayette. Lafayette goes back to the board here. He can't attack, but that's fine. He's happy where he is right now. The second general he's going to move is, I think we go after Howe. I think. Yes? No? Maybe? I mean, a victory is a victory. And the victory in New Hampshire is certainly way easier than the one in Massachusetts. But I also have a second minor campaign, so I can just do it again if I want. I want to save that for the last card, though, so I can get this. You know what? I'm going to have him do the easy fight first. I can still get to Howe, can't I? Yes, I can. Okay. There would be an element of risk there, though. There's actually a really big element of risk if I did it that way. Like, Howe can't possibly have more than a +6 advantage here. A +6 is Diamond. I'm going to get possibly a +8. Wait, +6? No, up to +7 because of the regular army advantage too. That +2 would be so big. But if I go after Carleton, which is the other option, or we go after Cornwallis. But no, that would be a bit silly. I don't want to give him free reign to pick up Rhode Island and Connecticut. It's a tricky one. It is a tricky one. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Then 1, 2, 3, 4. Here's what I'm trying to determine. Let me explain. If I can beat Cornwallis, there's a chance that they could roll a 6 and lose 3 guys. Lose a British regulars advantage. That is not something to be trifled with. And unless I can get the Brits to surrender, I can't get anyone to surrender, though. The closest would be Carleton. And there's just too many places he can retreat to right now. Yeah, the thing is that winning 2 battles is actually even better, though. God, game, you really know how to torture me sometimes. I think we go for how. I think we go for how. Let me just make sure that you don't surrender if you lose all your troops. But you don't. The only reason you surrender is if you can't retreat. Oh, if he's on an enemy space, that's when he gets captured. And that would count as a surrender. Right. Yeah, I'm gonna go ahead and attack Hal. I'm not gonna keep dithering anymore. I'll get another chance at it if I somehow fail. So, Washington v. Howe. I'm gonna roll the dice. I would get a 5 if I had 5 troops, but I don't. I only have 4. And Howe gets 2 because he only has 2 troops. So Washington is looking at a +8 to his die roll. So he's going to go ahead and roll again. It's just a flat +8, doesn't get any other bonuses. It's a total of a 12. Not great. Howe gets +4, 2 for himself, 2 for his troops. That's 4. British regular is 5. Militia, 6. Royal Navy, 7. If he rolls a 6, they win. If he rolls anything else, they lose. That happened last episode too, though. It is not a 6. It is a 10. 7 and 3 is indeed 10. So the British are defeated again, and he has to retreat. But first you have to determine casualties. So he's going to go ahead and roll his dice. He gets a 1. He only loses 1 troop. When the British do retreat by sea, how many troops can they take with them? Okay. You can take wait, how many CUs? Oh, it just any British army can do it. Okay. So Howe is going to take his one guy, and he is going to sail down to North Carolina. You do that, right? No, he can't, because it has to have a British PC, doesn't it? Oh, no, it can be uncontrolled. So yeah, he's going to hang out in North Carolina. And this opens up another avenue later on, maybe next turn, where they can start trying to convert North Carolina and South Carolina and Georgia. Washington does need to roll. He got a 4, which is, he loses a guy no matter what. That's fine. Delete. We move up here to Boston, and that's going to be them retaking Massachusetts, which is pretty good. Also, another American victory. We are one step closer, friends. One step closer. British turn. Hmm. Hmm. Taking Delaware would be pretty interesting. It would definitely be good for... It would definitely be good for things there. Here we go. Effects of dispersing the Continental Congress. They can't place markers if they get it. Up until the next turn, basically. But the Americans only have 2 cards left in their deck, their hand. I don't know what they are, but it's probably not that important. I'm going to take a 1 PC action instead, a 1 ops action. And I'm just going to go ahead and flip Delaware over to the Brits. Remember that for purposes of the Royal Navy, every port is adjacent to every other port, so I can flip that pretty easily. The Americans go ahead and play 1779 here. That's their entire action. I have no reason to rush here. I can wait and see what America's turn is. So I'm going to go ahead and play 1782. And now the Americans play their minor campaign. This could be an insanely huge victory if we play it right. Now, the Brits flipping that to Delaware does create a bit of a wrinkle. It's not a big wrinkle, but it is one. Because now the Brits would get the full +3 that they can get in a battle. 1 for militia, 1 for Royal Navy, and 1 for regulars. Green would have a maximum value of possibly a +9. Cornwallis could get a +12 if the rolls all break right. If this was Washington, I would totally do it. I would totally get... Here's the thing, though. It's only going to get harder to defeat the British next turn. Look, the only other realistic thing I could do is I could swing around and hit Maryland. I could hit Alexandria. Wait a minute. Oh, this is critical. Can units retreat if they don't have a general? Oh, they can retreat. Okay. And the British could retreat by sea. But then they just retreat them right underneath Howe and give him a stronger force later on. But here's what matters most. But then it opens up Philadelphia to attack. That's what I keep running up against. Until we can get a decisive victory against the British, or something, we're going to constantly be in danger of losing Philadelphia and the Continental Congress. And this light in the turn, you know what? It's not the worst thing in recorded history to lose the Continental Congress. And taking Maryland would actually be easier. Getting Alexandria. Would it be enough to flip to Virginia? It wouldn't. But it would be enough to take it away from the British. And that's worth doing. But here's the thing. And this is why I'm not going to attack Alexandria. I've made my decision now. If I don't attack Cornwallis, then what actually ends up happening is the British get to take Pennsylvania away from me. And that is something I can't allow. So we're going to go ahead, because I'm going to use green. I've got these troops. I've spent time gathering them. I'm going to attack Cornwallis. This is going to be a very, very interesting fight. Very, very interesting indeed. If we win, we could bring the French alliance in. And that could change so much. So much. So let's find out. So, Mr. Green is going to attack Mr. Cornwallis. Green is going to roll. We get a 3. Of all the times for his combat rating to be halved, this is the time it happens. But Cornwallis is also halved. So they're actually both 2. And they're both going to be 5. So they're both going to get a +7. But there's going to be an extra +3 for Cornwallis. So they get a +10 to whatever they roll. And they rolled a 6, which is a 16. The Americans cannot win this fight. I shouldn't have had them roll first. Should have had the Americans roll first, but oh well. The Americans just don't win. So now we roll for casualties. The Americans roll a 2. So they only lose 1 unit. You know what? Given the possibilities, I will take that. Green is a 4. But that's not his agility rating. His agility rating is a 2. So the Brits are not going to roll to see if they lost anybody. They got a 1. And you always lose a troop on a 1. That battle decided nothing, but at least it didn't cost them anything either. Now we're going to get Georgie Dubs, and he's going to come up, and we're going to kick these jerks out of New Hampshire. Oh, but if I do that, I don't get Massachusetts. And I think for the auto flip, it has to be an army. I don't know why I keep checking this. Every time I check it, it always says the same thing. Winning the battle is more important. Winning the battle is more important. So we're going to do this. We're going to try it anyway. So he goes, basically he's going to go 1, 2, 3, and then 4 to attack. I'm not going to bother rolling for the Brits because the most I can get is a 1. I will roll for the Americans, however. I get a 2. So it'd be half his value rounded down, so that's a +5 for the Americans, +2 for it being Washington. So that's going to be a +7, and the Brits only get a +2. That's a 9. Which means the Brits can't possibly win. Nope. They still have British regulars. I forgot about that. And they have militia. So it's actually a +4. If they roll a 6, they can still win. Come on, please don't roll a 6. I knew that was going to happen. I absolutely knew that was going to happen the moment I said they could still win with a 6. Because, right, it was 5 + 2 for Washington is 4. Stupid British militia is what won them that damn battle. So this could be real trouble now. We're going to roll. And we're going to hope we roll nice and low. We do not roll nice and low, so I lose 2 troops. Carleton now rolls. He got a 3. Washington, his agility is a 3, isn't it? It's a 2. That's enough to kill his last unit, so that's not nothing, but it's certainly not a victory. A victory was worth it. That die roll is pretty bad. One moment. So we win the battle, sort of. I mean, at least the good news is I can get reinforcements and Carleton can't, at least not very quickly. But this next turn for the British could be awfully scary. But they're not even done yet. They're not even done yet. We're going to play Joseph Brant leads an Iroquois raid. And this is remove any 2 in New Hampshire, New York, or Pennsylvania that don't have American units. That's gone. And I'm going to remove Lake Oswego, or we're going to remove this one. Here's why I removed that one in Pennsylvania. Now, all of a sudden, it would be such a risk. But if we actually won this battle, we would disperse the Continental Congress and take Pennsylvania. And take Pennsylvania. They'd still have British regulars. They'd still have, whatchamacallit. I cannot think right now. They'd still have Royal Navy. They wouldn't have militia. So they'd get a +2. +4 for the units. Now, Green does have 6 units. They could be fitting up to a +10. The other alternative is that the British play some markers. Placing markers is boring, but I think it's the right call. Yeah, they will. They're going to place markers. Where are they going to place them, I hear you asking? Well, one is coming right over here to North Carolina. And one is coming over here to Saratoga. And that actually does something very, very huge. That just flipped New York to the British. That flips New York to the British. Because the Americans only have New York City at this point. So, New York becomes British. North Carolina, which was so secure at one point. Oh, did we put the free... We didn't. Sorry. Gotta put them free markers down. So that gets placed there, but New Hampshire remains British. That's all fine. North Carolina becomes... So what happens next is Americans have to check for isolation. This base is now isolated. Which means North Carolina goes from being British to American, or American to British. And they took New York as well. This is becoming quite a problem for the Americans, and it's only going to continue being a problem because the British just have more troops. We do have to do attrition. You're in winter quarters, so you don't suffer any attrition. Cornwallis is in winter quarters. You're south of the border. And Carleton only has one troop. You only have one troop. Green is in winter quarters, but it doesn't matter. He is actually going to lose 3 troops. And that is that. So, we now check for the end phase. It is 1782, so the game is not over with yet. There is no French Navy to worry about. The British have a really strong position as we end this episode. They've got 6 colonies right now, which means they would win the game because they would tie with the Americans. They take one more colony, and the Americans are in real danger of losing. 1778 is going to be a pivotal turn for the Americans. A lot's going to depend on what cards they get. If the Brits can relentlessly attack Philadelphia, like, let me make this clear. If the British get... Yeah, if the British can get a minor campaign going, or it wouldn't help. They can't get to Washington. Washington's going to be able to reinforce. I can't really stop that. But what I could do is get a whole bunch of troops with someone like Burgoyne and take South Carolina and Georgia, where they just can't stop me. Yeah, there is... I really think if 1778 doesn't go exactly the Americans' way, that the British are going to win in 79 or close to it. Let's keep one other thing in mind as well. The instant victory condition. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There are 5 American units on the entire board. 5. If we kill all of their troops, by the end of the strategy phase, as the British, the Americans are defeated. That freaking bullshit win by Carleton just completely wrecked everything. And the British are still sitting on 10 troops, with 8 more on the way, 9 more on the way. Yeah, the Americans are going to have to get a really powerful card or something like that if they're going to have any chance at winning the game at this point. I'm just wanting to check to see if there's any card that should have been removed that wasn't. Nope. Yep, that one should have been removed. Arnold's treason really hurt. It really hurt. Even, honestly, the Americans bringing in the French is probably not enough right now. But it certainly wouldn't hurt. But that'll be the discussion for next time. Thank you very much for watching. Next episode, we will play 1778, 1779. And we'll see if the Americans can make a game of it. But until then, this has been Evinding. Thank you for watching, and I bid you good day.